I'd like to call to order the Johnson County Council meeting, December 9th, 2024. Amy, if you will do roll call, please. Present.
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 Jonathan Myers.
Here.
John Mallers.
Here.
Doug Differs.
Here.
Melissa Reese was absent.
Thank you. I am going to pray if anyone should care to join me. Heavenly Father, as we meet this evening, we ask for your wisdom and guidance in our discussions. May our words be thoughtful, our decisions be just, and our hearts be filled with compassion for one another. Let the spirit of peace and goodwill that Christmas season brings and represents inspire us to serve with humility and grace. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The first order of business will be to approve tonight's agenda for December 9th, 2024. We do need to add an item, and you have a document in front of you provided by Amy from the court services, and this can be added under C19, the consent agenda. It's basically to add a new line item for part-time and overtime. And Luke, who asked to be on the agenda this evening to discuss the edit, have a discussion. Luke will not be available this evening, and he texted me, and it's under old and new business, item 3, discussion of edit and revenue bonding. So we'll remove that from tonight's agenda.
Move to approve the agenda as amended.
We have a first by Mr. Mallers, a second by Mr. Myers. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. We'll open the floor for any public comments at this time. If there's anyone in the audience that would like to come to the podium, you have a 5-minute limit for public comments.
Madam President, as a future non-elected official, I'd like to ask Andy Barnhart to come forward. Since the sheriff isn't here tonight, in honor of the first Sheriff Smiley, and our current sheriff, I wanted to admit this to the sheriff. Thank you. I'll make sure it goes. All right. Thank you.
Anyone else under public comments? With no one coming forward, we will move on to item B, which are council appointments, board appointments. Amy, the best way to handle this is go down through them one at a time, discuss, see who's here, correct? Okay, so the first one that we have is Property Tax Assessment Board of Appeals for Peter Boa. And that is Donna Zeldner, correct? Okay. Okay, she has an application in here. Anyone here to speak for the Peterborough Board? Would you like to come up and tell us a little about Donna and her history and that whether she's wanting to?
Oh, absolutely. Mike Watkins, County Assessor. Donna has been on the board and been the board president for a lot of years, well before the point that I was in charge of it. And I think she is the ideal candidate. She is a local realtor. When we had township assessors, she was the Pleasant Township Assessor, did a great job in that, and she's done a great job in the Board of Appeals every time that she's been up there.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're going to be discussing rate after this. You need to know
Oh,
that
you
too.
go right ahead. You can
No.
present that, you can present that information,
Yeah,
yes.
it's no change from last year.
And
It's been
state
the
that
same
for
for
the
several.
record, please.
Oh, the rate of compensation for 2025 is $350 a day for a member that is a certified level 2 or 3 assessor appraiser, and $100 a day for members that are not a level 2 or 3 assessor appraiser.
Okay. Anyone have any questions for Mr. Watkins? If not, we'll make a motion each individual one, correct?
Move to approve Property Tax Assessment Board of Appeals candidate Donna Zellner.
Second.
We have a first by Mr. Deere, a second by Mr. Bates. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Thank you.
And the rate also?
Yes.
Move to approve the rate of compensation for 2025.
Yeah. Okay. We have a,
Did
it's
Mike
fine,
catch that?
it's fine, we can do two.
Okay.
Yes, we have a motion to approve the rates by Mr. Mallers, second by Mr. Dittmers. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Sorry, we should have included that. I should have included that. Thank you.
Nice catch.
Johnson County Redevelopment Commission. Good evening, Mr. Money.
Good evening. Lee Money, I'm a current member of the Johnson County Redevelopment Commission and currently, and since its inception, the secretary of that commission, and it'd be my honor to continue to serve.
Been a part of those meetings before. Thank you for your.
I'm sorry?
I have been a part of those meetings in the past. Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Well, I knew Lee when he didn't have gray hair, so I'm gonna appoint Lee to the Johnson County Redevelopment Commission.
Thanks for putting that out. Ron. I appreciate it very much.
There's two you have to appoint. Rob Henderson also reapplied. He wasn't sure if he's going to be able to attend.
I did get an email from Rob. I think you all should have gotten a copy of the email as well. He is definitely interested in continuing to serve. So,
I would speak on behalf of Rob. He does an extraordinary job of both running the meetings. He's been the president of the Redevelopment Commission since its inception, and very active, very attentive to the details of that. And I appreciate his service on the Redevelopment Commission, and also encourage you to reappoint him.
okay.
Okay, include that in my appointment, Rob Henderson and Lee Money for
So we
Redevelopment Commission.
have a motion on the floor to appoint Rob Henderson and Lee Money for the Redevelopment Commission for Johnson County.
Second.
First by Mr. Deere, second by Mr. Bates. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, sir. Greenwood City Economic Development Commission.
Edinburgh.
I'm sorry. I'm jumping ahead of myself. Edinburgh Town Economic Development Commission. In the past, that has been Kevin McGinnis, who was the Edinburgh Town Manager. We assumed that John Eddie Myers would take his position since he is now the town manager, but I have not spoken with him, and I don't think Amy has either. So this particular one, if there's no one else here, I would suggest we table this one until we hear from the town manager, Mr. Myers. So do we need a motion to do that?
So moved.
So we have a motion by Mr. Bates.
Second.
Second by Mr. Dittmers. All in favor to table the Edinburgh Town Economic Development Commission appointee? Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. And Amy, I am assuming that he will reach out to me or to one of you guys soon. Now we go on to the Greenwood City Economic Development Commission. And
The current appointment is Lauren Ashby. There was no submitted applications. However, I spoke with her just a few minutes ago, and she is interested in being reappointed.
okay, and her name is Lauren Ashby, correct? Okay.
Does she have to fill out a form or not? Just make herself.
Yeah, she will have to, but she's familiar with the process. She's
Okay.
served
So
before.
she'll get with you or
Yeah, we'll get
She'll
it.
get with Amy.
with Amy?
So, no one else here for the Greenwood City Economic Development Commission. We have the current representative, Lauren Ashby, has requested to continue her service.
I'd move that we reappoint her to retain her position.
Second.
Have a motion by Mr. Dittmers, a second by Mr. Mallers for Lauren Ashby to continue her service. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Local Alcohol Beverage Commission Board. Looks like we have an application from David Maurer.
This year.
Is he here?
Yep.
Could you approach the podium, Mr. Maurer?
Thank you very much. I'm here asking for another reappointment. I'm a resident of Johnson County for almost 60 years. I live in Bargersville and with my wife, and I've, again, been serving on the ABC board for the last 6 to 7 years. And I'm a stakeholder in the community, love to give back and serve. Those that know me know that I'm always out and about doing what I can to make our county a better place. And I'm dependable. And that's key in this position, to show up for the meetings. I'm knowledgeable, and I'm also willing. So I ask of you to reappoint me if you so choose to do so. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for this gentleman? Not, we're open for a motion.
I'd move we reappoint Mr. Maurer to the Alcohol Beverage Commission Board.
Second.
Have a motion by Mr. Dittmers, a second by Mr. Bates. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And it passes. Next on the list is Board of Zoning Appeals. Looks like we have a Roger Meyer.
Yes.
Come to the podium, Mr. Meyer.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I've been a resident of Johnson County for about 35 years, and I served last year as the alternate. I would like to do so again.
Would you kindly state your name for the record, please?
Roger Meyer,
Thank you.
and I'd like to apply again for the appeals board.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Meyer?
For clarification, do you want the regular or the alternate?
He said alternate?
You're applying for the alternate or the regular?
Alternate.
Alternate.
Okay.
And you're in that role now, is that correct? You're the alternate now?
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
So I had stated that was for the actual board. You're fine, just for the record. Mr. Meyer is actually requesting to be a representative for the Board of Zoning Appeals alternate, not the actual representative. So we'll take that one, and then we'll move back to the other, okay? Yes, should we, yes, yes. The discussion would be that, Mr. Deere, we had planned on appointing you as, per your
Alternate.
request, as alternate.
Yep.
Okay, so I guess the assumption would, are you willing to be the actual representative
Sure.
rather than the alternate?
Yep.
Okay, all right. So we'll take a motion first.
Clarification real quick. I don't have, Board of Zoning Appeals have to live.
I cannot hear you, I'm sorry.
Is this on? Is this on? Okay. Board of Zoning Appeals members have to live in unincorporated, so I just wanted to clarify that.
Oh, well, I don't live in unincorporated.
I don't have an app, so I was the reason I haven't looked yet is because I was waiting to see if you sent in an application. So maybe, let me just double check that before we appoint.
Well, if they have to be in unincorporated,
The only thing I had said that they would be Johnson County residents.
that's what I understood.
Yeah, there's various, it's not super clear on the application, but I'm almost positive. So I know Planning Commission is that way too. Both of those are positions that require you to be in the zoning district of where you're zoning. So like if you live in Greenwood, you need a Board of Zoning Appeals for Greenwood. We only control unincorporated. So you wouldn't, our Board of Zoning Appeals doesn't regulate what's in Greenwood City, Franklin City. So the requirement is to live in unincorporated.
So is that a definitive answer? Or
Well,
do you want to table it until?
I would rather table it just so I could double check everything
Okay.
with
Well,
it.
I mean, what I've read is what Amy has read over
Right.
time, that it was, you live in the county, and of course, I still live in the county.
Yeah,
so-
and that is true for most boards, but for the ones that control zoning, you have to live within the zoned jurisdiction.
Well,
So, but I just,
if that's the case, I'm interested in,
yeah.
Okay, so how about we just table that one?
Yeah.
And we'll find out for sure,
Yeah.
and then you can let us know, okay? So for now, I'm open for a motion for the Board of Zoning Appeals alternate.
So moved.
We have a motion by Mr.
Second.
Bates and a second by Mr. Mallers. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Okay, Johnson County Park Board, looks,
You need a motion to table.
oh, okay.
I moved to, never mind.
Mr. Mallers made a motion to table the actual Board of Zoning Appeals position. Mr. Bates, second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Thank you, Amy. Now moving on to the County Park Board. Looks like we have a letter from the council, for the council board appointment from the Parks Board recommending Penny Lane and an application. I believe Penny currently serves. Is she here? Hi, Kevin. You want to come on up and chat?
Kevin Leonard, Park Superintendent. Yeah, Penny was appointed earlier this year to finish out the term when Jim Kirkham had passed. And she's been a valuable member of the board, so we would like to reappoint her if possible.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Move to retain Penny Lane on the Parks Board.
I have a motion by Mr. Dittmers to retain Penny Lane.
Second.
A second by Mr. Bates. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes.
If it matters, I double checked the statute, so you have to live in unincorporated. So, guys, you say you're within the city limits?
I'm sorry?
You're within Greenwood City?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's not gonna work.
Okay, we have no other applicants, correct?
Yeah, so table it anyway, you already did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to the County Plan Commission, now these are council member representatives, correct? So can you tell us who is currently on?
The plan commission is Jonathan T. and the alternate of Ryan. Emergency management is right here, and solid waste is Jonathan.
Okay, so let's start with the ones that are on. Do you wish to continue to be on those commissions? So we have the Plan Commission.
Yes.
So Mr. Our JT has said he will retain the position as representative to the County Plan Commission.
Make a motion to approve John T.
Okay, I think we've got a sidebar going on down here.
He said, Mr. Hudson said he submitted an application for three different boards. I don't know possible.
Oh.
So he lives in the country. And yeah. So
Okay, if you'd like to have a seat, we'll call you up after we work through these and be glad to talk to you, okay?
Easy.
Did it come to net? I don't recognize the name, but.
Okay, so JT, you have consented to be the representative for the Plan Commission for the council. So I have
I made a motion to approve John T.
a motion to approve John T. for the Johnson County Plan Commission.
Second.
Second by Mr. Bates. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. So the alternate member was you, Ron, correct?
Right.
Okay. What I would like to do, and this is, we can just talk about this, would like to maybe table the alternates until January, until the other members are on board. Some of those may wish to participate in this when Melinda is back. I know she had sent me an email stating she was interested in being a representative, but she's not here on some of these. And, we have yet another new member, unless someone here would like to be the alternate. I could talk about it. Is that something you might be interested in, Mr. Bates?
I would be interested.
You would be?
Yes.
Okay, so Mr. Bates has stated that he would like to be a Plan Commission alternate. I'm certainly okay with that, so.
I make the motion, Ron Bates be the alternate.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Dittmers,
Second.
second by Mr. Myers. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Same with the Emergency Management Advisory Council. Ron was also a member of that. Is there anyone here interested in that position?
It is very interesting and very impactful to our county, and I would encourage anyone to consider doing that. Plus, they have good food before the meeting.
No? Okay, so let's table the Emergency Management Advisory Council till next month, and maybe Melinda or the new council member might be interested in that. And then we move on to Solid Waste Management.
We need a motion on that.
Yes, we do. I'm sorry, I have a tendency to want to jump past all of these.
I'd make that motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Bates to table Emergency Management Advisory Council member.
Second.
Second by Mr. Myers. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Solid Waste Management District. Mr. Dittmers, would you like to continue in that position?
I would, yes, that's fine.
You would?
Unless somebody wants
Anyone
to
else
jump in that.
wants to run against Mr. Dittmers?
I could see.
I make that motion.
Mr. Bates made a motion to approve Mr. Dittmers as the Solid Waste Management District Representative.
Second. Go ahead.
Second by Mr. Mallers. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. So it looks like we got through most of them. There's a few we're going to need to revisit in January.
See if she's checked for.
Right, right. And what was your name, sir? Where'd you go? William Hudson. We'd like to invite you to the podium. I'm sorry we didn't get your application, but we'd like to invite you to the podium if you'd state your name and for the record, maybe your address.
Yes.
And then
So my name is William Hudson, Jr. My address is here in town, 148 West King Street. I also have a property that we are building a house on south and west of Bargersville in Johnson County. We do not currently have an address because we're waiting on a building permit in order to have an address issued. Been in Johnson County most of my life, my couple high school years in Shelby County, but not far. Don't hold it against me. Just looking to give back to the community in my free time, and I had to apply for 3 different commissions, hoping to get on one of them.
Well, we
and,
appreciate your interest. We
absolutely.
appreciate your interest.
So because he does own property.
I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time hearing
That's
you.
okay. Which I forgot to clarify with you. Do you have any unincorporated property ownership?
Me?
Mhm.
No.
Okay. I figured that was clear earlier, but so he has ownership that I just verified in unincorporated county. So you are able to live and or also own property, like if you live in the county but own unincorporated property. So I showed the 7 acres.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. This one does have a component for political affiliation, which he would be okay with, so.
And you found an application?
Uh-huh.
Okay,
I got it.
okay. Okay, and so he meets all the requirements?
Yeah, I mean, this is for Board of Zoning Appeals.
Right.
Because this is all I have, right, that you have.
Correct.
Yeah. That would be fine.
Okay. Any questions for this gentleman? Southwestern?
I did go to Southwestern. I was there from.
I may have to vote no on
I'm
that.
telling you, it's a tiny school, but now it is apparently the safest school in America.
It's an awesome school.
It really was. It was
It's an
fantastic.
awesome school. Yeah. Anybody? Okay, I'm prepared to take a motion. And I'm sorry, give me your name again.
William Hudson
William Hudson.
with a T, Hutson.
And I am assuming proper paperwork, checks and that type of stuff you will follow up on?
Yes, I have that.
Okay. All right.
Should we see that stuff?
Well, we can table this if you want to see the application. I am purely going on what he stated and that Tiffany has looked at his application because we didn't get it.
Eligibility wise, we're good, but it's still your decision, so I can forward this email to everybody.
My thought is, it sounds good to me, but I don't know anything other than what I was just told, and it's kind of 11th hour.
Okay.
We've already tabled, I think,
Okay.
the call, so to me, if we.
Be happy to do that. We can just
Not
leave it
just in
tabled,
January.
and then we'll review your information and then render a decision in January.
And I don't mean to kick the can down the road, it just seems like that's a little rushed.
We just have to make sure, you're not a serial killer or something.
Tiffany, did they have a meeting before the January meeting? BZA, did they have a meeting before January?
I do not know. I'd have to check. I think there is one. I think it's I think it's the third week in December.
So that would be after our meeting then, right?
Yes.
Okay.
But
so
I mean, I can double check. I think that they're fine. I mean, the person that's there now serves through the end of December.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, I think we're fine. Thank you very much
Thanks.
for coming in to talk to us. All right, so we are good with the appointments at this point, right? Anybody have anything else? Okay, moving on to item C, which is routine matters on the consent agenda. And by a single motion, this board approves items which may include salary ordinances, amendments, additional appropriations, reductions and transfers, and any items listed on the consent agenda may be removed by a council member and moved to the regular agenda for an individual vote or discussion. This is quite full this month. I'm sure everyone has gone over them each individually as I have, but most of them are appropriations of the courts and grants and this type. So I didn't see absolutely anything that I felt needed to be pulled and talked about, but I'll open the floor for anybody else that might have found something I didn't see.
I'm not suggesting it be removed from the consent agenda, but I did have a question for Tiffany. Is this American Rescue Plan part, is that the end of the expenditures and all of it's been allocated?
Well, yes. The idea here is that everything has been appropriated at this point. Therefore, if we have change orders or, let's say, for example, I think there's questions on if the JC Fiber, like we allocated $410,000. It's possible it could come in under. So because all of this has been appropriated, the goal is to just move it, transfer funds with the ultimate goal of not having to return any of the funds to the federal government. There was a contract that was approved this morning by the commissioners whereby any remaining funds up to, I believe, $250,000 goes to the Johnson County Community Foundation to be able to support early education and childcare that they have a program that's already up and running. So we don't know the exact amount yet, but that is the goal, is that they would, everything's under contract, will be under contract by the end of this year as required under ARPA.
And then just primarily for Ron, that we had 31 million.
Yeah.
There's been several allocations, and many of them, the coroner's office and health department office and the others. Also, the construction has to be done by 2026?
Yes, by the end of 26. And we had, the IACC met last week, and there were a shocking amount of counties that haven't allocated money or are sending millions back. And so I think it's a testament to Johnson County that there was a plan, they implemented it, everything will be under contract. And like I said, anything, we don't know the amount that'll be left over, but we don't anticipate it with change orders and everything to be over $250,000 out of the 31 million. And then anything goes to JCCF to still be beneficial to citizens of Johnson County.
Well, I want to
That's
thank.
eligible use, right?
Yep, it's discretionary funds. All of this is from discretionary funds because the regulatory funds were completely used with the mental health facility, health department, and coroner building.
Is any part of those funds being used for the new community corrections?
No,
No? Okay.
no, and I don't believe that would be, well, discretionary would be, but no.
Okay.
Those are all through the bonding.
And I want to thank Commissioner Walls and the commissioners for everything they've done with that money. And I know several years ago when this started, there was some question of if it's something that we needed to do, but, it has been used in a appropriate way and one that I'm personally proud of. And then, of course, the food bank that we did. And,
Yes.
we looked at it as a community and did a number of items that were appropriate and needed. I'm glad that we were able to spend that money judiciously.
And just the idea that we are able to give any leftover, however small or big, to the community foundation is really good for the citizens, that there's just no stone left unturned in what they were able to spend. So it's been really good.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Commissioner, did you have something you wanted to say?
No,
No, I just heard my name.
you're in trouble, Commissioner.
I'll be back.
I will say, to loosely quote Brian Baird, when that committee first started, it's probably some of the most emotional times that I have seen in this county. And spending free money is one of the hardest things that I've ever seen done in this county. And so I, like you, commend the people that worked on that. It was not an easy task. It was not an easy task, so, thank you.
Move to approve the consent agenda.
We have a motion by Mr. Mallers,
Second.
second by Mr. Dittmers. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Item D on the agenda, salary ordinances, amendments, additional appropriations, reductions and transfers, employment, self-funded insurance. That would be Commissioner Walls.
I'm here if you have any questions.
Well, if you could give a brief explanation, I know what it is and you know what it is, but those at home may not. So if you could
Kevin
give
Wallace,
a,
Johnson County Commissioner. This is to finish out the year,
correct,
so
for employee health insurance.
employee health insurance. And if we don't use it all, a lot of people wait for elective surgeries towards the end of the year once they meet their deductibles. So we don't really have a projection on that, but anything that we don't use will revert back.
Correct.
But this should carry us through the end of the year.
At least we're not borrowing from another fund.
Bingo.
I've seen that too.
Move to approve.
We have a motion by Mr. Dittmers,
Second.
a second by Mr. Deere. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, sir.
I'll stay right here.
Oh, okay. Board of Commissioners, Professional Services.
Well, this is good news. Kevin Walls, Johnson County Commissioner. This is good news. This is the fill-out for the Community Corrections and Adult Probation Building. We had originally, I think I talked to you about a $10 million need, but we're only going to need $7.5 million So I think that's a big plus. So that's what I'm asking for, 7.5 million to appropriate out of the jail lit fund.
And again, most of us up here know exactly what you're talking about, but this is something that has been a long time in the making, and we were all
20 years in the making.
fully prepared
Yeah.
for this request this evening,
And we have
correct?
favorable results on bid day.
Right.
So this is the result of it.
Okay,
So.
thank you. Any questions?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve by Mr. Myers,
Second.
a second by Mr. Deere. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Okay, next up is courthouse maintenance. You as well?
I'll stay here for that also.
Okay, all right.
If you've got any questions on this is a $15,000 appropriation for money to get us through on utilities, because we picked up 2 new buildings this year. We've got the health building and Health and Corners building. Which other? That's it?
That appears to be just the cost of doing business at the end of the year, so there's not really a lot anyone can do
Move to
about
approve.
that. So we have a motion by
Second.
Mr. Dittmers and a second by Mr. Bates. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Next up is fleet.
And I will leave. I just want to say one thing before you give me the opportunity. Ron,
Absolutely.
it has absolutely been a pleasure to work with you over these last few years. I really appreciate it, and I wish you well in the future.
I'll be back.
There you go. Can't wait to see you.
Lord willing, I'll be back. Well, my wife and Lord willing, I'll be back.
Have the wife too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Hi.
Hi, Bob Galinsky, Johnson County Fleet Director. I am here because, well, 2 things. One is I got a call from the payroll department stating that we had paid a different rate to our part-time employee. And my paperwork said what I thought and what we were paying him, and their paperwork said something that was different, so it was short. I have plenty of money in the line item to pay it, so it's not an issue. Just needed to get approval from you guys. Number 2, the same person, during my budget, I increased his line item, thinking that, yeah, I've got this all covered, but I didn't do his hourly rate. I did the lump sum in the line item, but I neglected to pay, to give you guys the right number for his hourly rate. So instead of going into 2025 and having to come in over, do this all over again, we just cleared up today. Be great.
So Bob did give me a call, and I asked him to follow up with an email. I did research with the auditor's office, and unfortunately, this happens occasionally. And the amount of money that we're talking about, I believe Elizabeth, Amy, was under $300.
260 and change.
Yep. So I suggested that he come before council and explain it basically was an error. It was a paperwork error, and he validated his intent. There is some practice in place where we could go back and collect that overpayment from that employee. It's not a nice or an easy way to do that, to take somebody's salary away. So I suggested for the amount of money that it was and what his intents were, that he asked this council to reappropriate the amount of money to cover what his intents were, and he would submit a new 144, and we would move forward and correct the error. That is what you're saying today, correct?
Yes, as well as for 2025, I gave you guys a wrong number for his hourly rate. I gave you guys the number right for his
But
line
it comes
item.
off this paperwork, correct?
Yes,
It's
yes,
this-
and then,
okay.
so like next year it'd be 2359.
Correct.
Instead of the number that I gave you, so.
Correct.
You said rather, instead of having to already paying them into next year's.
I understand.
Yeah.
So is there any questions or input or discussion for Mr. Galinsky?
I made a mistake, sorry.
And you do have your new 144? If this is, assuming this is.
I have everything ready to
Okay.
give to
All right.
Amy and them, so.
Move to approve number 4, fleet.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve fleet, item number 4.
Second.
Have a second, a motion by Mr. Mallers, a second by Mr. Bates. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are you guys okay putting that on the January consent agenda for the?
Absolutely. That will need to come in on January as well for the 2025. So she can just put it on the consent agenda. You won't need to go through this again.
Thumbs up, thanks.
Thank you, Amy. Okay, and next up is base grant. Looks like, is that Betsy? Betsy?
Yeah, Pam, I'm on Zoom.
Hi.
Hi.
So you're up for item 5, 6, 7.
5, 6, 7, yes.
Okay.
5 and 6 are just the salary appropriation to match the 2025 rate for the preparedness coordinator.
And you just got those numbers now, Betsy? Is that why we're doing this now instead of at budget time?
It's just it's the normal, that grant runs July 1st to June 30. So always in January, I have to come back, and it's just with this, when we get a salary increase on the regular wages, it affects this wage as well.
And the wage is stipulated in the actual grant?
No, it's based on the salary rate for the preparedness coordinator with what I make in my regular position, so.
But it is within the budget of the grant?
It is, yes, meets the grant criteria, yes.
And that's item 5 and 6?
That's 5, 6. One is the base, and the next one is the CRI, but they're all the FEP funds, the preparedness funds.
Anyone else have questions?
Move to approve numbers 5 and 6.
Have a motion to approve items 5 and 6, the base grant and the CRI. So first by Mr. Dittmers, the second by Mr. Myers. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed?
Mr. Mullers or Mr. Dittmer?
I'm sorry, was it Mr. Mallers or
It was
Mr.
indeed.
Dittmers? It's Mr. Mallers. Passes. Thank you, Betsy.
Thank you.
Number
Right, and then that I have, that's the immunization grant. It's moving some, I actually need to pull that agenda. Let me look real quick. That is with regard to the immunization grant and just moving some money from overtime into grant hourly wages, FICA, PERF. It's hard to bounce back and forth between the agenda online and you guys. I apologize.
I
Move
can,
to,
go ahead.
never mind.
No, I was just,
you go
I
first.
completely understand. Go ahead.
Move to approve number 7, immunization grant.
We have a motion by Mr. Mallers to approve number 7 for the immunization grant.
Second.
Second by Mr. Myers. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening.
You as well. Okay. Myself together here. Number 8. Crisis intervention. Nobody here?
Hi, Steve Kermode, Assistant Director at Community Corrections. This isn't mine. I know Sheena Johnson, Court Administrator, had submitted this. I believe it is their 2025 federal grant that assists with CIT.
It is their, her letter stated that appropriations for the grant funds for 2025, they were awarded the federal COPS grant in support of the CIT team. And the budget includes salary for the program therapist, social worker, and fringe benefits, supplies, conduct, crisis intervention, training, travel, attendance to international conferences, negotiation training, and the grant performance period is October 23 through September 25, and the grant's $343,193. Is that the information that you believe is accurate?
I do.
Okay.
I'd make approval, and I'd like to comment one of the things that, many things that we all can be proud of, but the implementation of the CIT in this last 2 years obviously is making a difference in our community and is being recognized throughout the United States as one of the premier CIT organizations. And to you and to the staff and everybody, thank you for what you're doing. And with that, I request approval.
We have a motion by Mr. Mr. Deere.
Second.
Second by Mr. Bates. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Next on the agenda, number 9, Community Corrections Adult Grant.
Yes, this is our 2025 DOC grant. We were just awarded full amount, so we just asked that it be appropriated this way for 2025.
It's always good to see those come in.
It is.
Move to approve Community Correction Adult Grant 2025.
We have a motion by Mr. Mallers to approve number 9, Community Corrections Adult Grant.
Second.
Second by Mr. Myers. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Mental Health Court Grant, 9201.
I might need help with this one. I don't think I submitted this one.
Hang on, we'll help you out here. Okay, well, it appears like there's $17,000, and it's an IOCS grant, and the grant runs from January 1, 2025 through December of 2025. And it looks like she's asking that the funds be appropriated into the line items listed for the mental health court.
That is accurate. Again, just we have the part-time.
Steve, I'm sorry,
Sorry. We have the part-time that was added on there, or it's in this grant as opposed to the other, so that's why it was added to the regular agenda. So we
Okay,
have the salary and the FICA associated with that.
the part-time, the $31,399?
Yes.
Okay. Any questions on the mental health court grant? Prepared for a motion?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion by Mr. Myers for the mental health court grant number 10.
Second.
Second by Mr. Mallers. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Thank you. And under business, we have an approval of a resolution 2024-08. This is a resolution transferring unspent ordinance violation fee funds, 4201, to Animal Control Deferral Program Fund. The ordinance and the resolution and the ordinance, Tiffany, do they are the same?
Yeah, essentially what this was is an audit of a fund that really had been for all ordinance violations since it was created, we think, in the 80s. Can't really find all of the 1980 paperwork. But I was able to track down all of the cases. There was a printout. I cross-checked every single case that we went through there and divided all the fees and decided based on what was done from 2008 when the fund was, I guess, moved out of the general fund and to 2022, and they were all animal control ordinance violations that went to court that were paid very small fees. So part of the reason was this fund was small. The fines prior to 2022, when Adam and I came on and redid the ordinance with the commissioners, the fines were like $10 for these. So it took a while for them to accumulate. So now we wanted to transfer that chunk of money that was done prior to our involvement to the Animal Control Deferral Fund, because we already have that ordinance in place. It's for the animal control to spend through appropriations on training, things to run the department, normal. And everything since 2022 is court cases that Adam and I have gone to court and actually they didn't do deferrals. They showed up to court and agreed to a fine and paid court costs. So the court gets the court costs, and the rest of the money is sitting in this fund. And the goal is, we've never appropriated it or had an ordinance to appropriate this fund. So the goal is to go back to the legal and commissioners so that we can pay for legal training, whatever the office needs to continue this program.
What, and I don't know if it states it in the ordinance or not, what kind of money are we talking about?
Like overall,
Uh-huh.
it's like, I think around 3,000.
Oh,
Yeah,
so it'll help.
It will definitely help.
And
We
this
have-
is basically money that was generated through fines.
Yeah, and since August of '22, when we started, when we raised the ordinance fees from $10 to $100 on your first offense, to match the other government units in the area. So like Greenwood, for example, they have a high fine, so we wanted to mirror the entire county. So now off-leash, off-property, because it's a waste of everyone's time to charge $10 and people don't show to court. We still have court costs, we still have attorney fees and things like that. So it's actually done really well. People will pay, and so we need to appropriate it.
Okay. Any other questions?
Yeah, so that's from 2008 all the way to 2022.
That's still, every little bit helps.
Yeah, and that'll go to right back to the animal control, because they're the ones that made all the runs and they
Yep.
cited all these, so.
I'm a fan.
Yeah.
And that's 2024-08.
It's actually, can we do 2024-08 and 2024-13 together, Amy, or do we need to do them separately? Can we do them together? It's the same.
I would make the motion that we combine those and approve 2024-08 and 2024.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor for approval of Resolution 2024-08 and approval of Ordinance 2024-13 by Mr. Dittmers. And we have a second by Mr. Bates. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Okay. So we are on to old and new business.
Nope, there's one more.
Oh, did I miss one? What did I miss?
It's, White River.
White River Township Fire Department Protection District Fund.
Right above Old.
Okay, item number 3, I printed mine out at home, so that may be why. Approval of ordinance 2024-14. It's an ordinance regarding the additional appropriation by White River Township Fire Protection District, Fund 8603, Special Fire General Fund, Capital Equipment.
Good evening.
Hi, sorry, I tried to bypass you.
That's okay. We've got a lot going on. I'm Jeremy Pell, I'm chief of the White River Township Fire Protection District, and Ben, you want to?
Ben Riker, financial consultant with the district.
The additional appropriation you have in front of you is for replacement equipment. It's for replacement ladder truck. And the district has a vehicle replacement cycle so that we can plan fiscally, but also get the most use of life out of that truck and make sure it stays in service and reduce the maintenance costs. By Indiana code, we have to have the appropriation and the funding available before we enter into a contract. The reason we're coming to you, and it looks different than it has in the past, is the market is much different than it used to be. It is taking between 3 and 4 years to build these trucks. And there's a huge benefit to the taxpayers and the department in planning ahead. What we're asking tonight is for the appropriation, so the district can enter into a contract to replace the ladder truck and get it at today's cost rather than 4 years down the road, get it designed and ordered and have it delivered at the appropriate time.
We were discussing this actually earlier, and I believe there were a couple of questions, and I'm going to embarrass myself if I try to ask about this truck, so.
He answered it. My question was, why do they need the additional appropriation now?
Yeah.
And it's to be able to enter into the contract.
My only concern was there was verbiage in there that stated for current year. So when that truck is done, are you going to have to come back? How does that work? I didn't know if Ben.
I think Ben can answer
explain
it
that
better than I can.
And I'm sorry, I just don't know much about it.
No, that's all right. This is relatively new. I mean, it used to be that we could come to you at budget time and say, here's what we need, and
Exactly.
we're planning it, and we're gonna order it, and it'll show up in a year. And the lead times are 3 to 4 years now. And then we also think about the price increases. So we're gonna save the taxpayers by getting in under those price increases and buying at today's cost and ordering it when we really don't have much of a choice.
I
But-
understand the concept. I get a feeling by looking at the paperwork, it's going to expire. Like maybe it's going to run out.
Yeah, the appropriations expire before year end unless you have a contract or purchase order to go ahead and encumber those funds into future years.
I
The plan
gotcha.
would be just to go ahead and have
So
the
then
contract.
there'd just be an encumbrance rolling
Exactly.
forward until you
Right.
finally get to it.
Okay, that answers that. Thank you. That was simple enough. Amy's familiar with encumbrances.
Are the progress payments on it then as it's built?
No.
So it's a one?
Yeah.
As long as it's there, they know it and it's coming in one large.
Correct. Yeah, yeah, and that's the intent of having the appropriation and the cash to be able to enter into that agreement.
Okay.
Chairman, I move to approve ordinance 2024-14.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor by Mr. Bates for approval of
Ordinance
what he just said.
2024-14.
Thank you.
Second.
A second by Mr. Deere. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda is our recorder under old and new business, right? Nope, we have an agreement for consulting services for Michael A. Reuter. Who wants to talk about that? Barbie?
It's yours. It's yours.
It's us.
Oh, it's ours, it's not the commissioners. Oh, okay, guys. This is our contract with Mr. Reuter. So we're all familiar with his services and his scope of services for what he charges. We've talked about that and discussed that in the past.
It was in the last meeting.
Yes, so, yeah. Yes, I'm sorry, Amy, I was thinking it was for the commissioners.
Nothing material, Amy, I move that we approve retaining Mr. Reuter going forward.
I have a motion on the floor by Mr. Dittmers to approve an agreement for consulting services with Michael Reuter.
Second.
Second by Mr. Myers, all in favor?
Aye.
Teresa, been trying for the last 3 times to get you up here.
Teresa Petro, County Recorder. I sent the letter out to all you with the explanation. If you have any questions, I think this is the right, appropriate route to go.
I'm going to need you to explain it.
Okay.
Even though we've talked about it every meeting since October.
Okay.
I still would like
yeah.
you to explain it for the taxpayers, please.
Okay, so we are entering salary study with Wagner, Irwin, and Shields. I updated my job descriptions a while back, but we did present them to them for the 2025 salary study, so that we can hopefully update and reclassify these job positions, which will be up to them, the consulting company, and then any difference would go in for the 2026 budget.
We've worked, Teresa and I have been working on these. These are new requested changes based on kind of her evaluation going into the salary study. So again, we want to make sure it's correct. We talked with Elizabeth about what she's allowed to do with deputy and chief deputy. So this kind of cleans up the way that her department is now and kind of gets more specific roles for each employee. So this is the way that they were submitted to WIS. In addition, WIS also has the older ones so they can compare and contrast, but I did explain that, all title changes have to go through council. WIS is also aware that sometimes there may be title changes, so they're going to get with each department individually to clarify, to make sure that people are in the right roles and before they do the study, but this is just to clean that up.
So I have a question as to how last meeting, it was the commissioners and the treasurer, and you informed us then that that was a mistake on our part and it absolutely had to be fixed.
Yes.
So and there was only those two. So now this one you're telling us is another mistake that can't be handled at budget time?
No, this is not a mistake. This is what she wants going into the new salary study. So the salary study is to be implemented in 2026. So going forward in 2026, she was requesting these title changes on these positions in her department. So
I think there's a ordinance that title changes are approved by council.
So
that's what we're doing. We're doing that first.
Yeah.
I'm changing actual job titles.
Yeah,
So I'm just looking for approval for that to submit to Wagner Irwin Shields.
So and I'm just trying to understand. So from this point forward, up until we go into budget next year, we could pretty much anticipate anybody with a job title change throughout the county will be on the agenda to come before us.
Yeah.
Before they can submit for the research that's being done.
They don't have to, but this is preferred because then they can track it and it's easier for the consultant to be able to track what's going on in each department. So, for example, there are plenty of positions that in 2018 that have had title changes, but that department hasn't updated their job descriptions. So what's happening is that Wagner and Shealy is getting all of these 2018, and then they have the current list of employees that match their titles from the auditor. They don't match, right? So that'll have to be, that's going to take us longer to get those departments in check. For this one, she's already done it, preliminary, trying to make them in place how she wants them going forward. So that's the goal.
So here's my question, Teresa. We've already been told that the commissioners are going to come in January asking for more money to bring those positions up to what supposedly they are. So I'm just trying to foresee if this is going to be a monthly thing from now until I leave here, until budget time. So is that your intent?
I am not asking, in my letter, I'm asking for, to give Wagner Irwin Shields what they need to review the job description, possibly reclassify for the 2026 year. I will not be coming back asking for 2025 increases. Mine was not a mistake. This is something that I've been actually working on since 2023, and we've changed, and I think we've probably got a good, avenue that this needs to go per the ordinance, because I didn't understand it at first, and you have to approve a title change.
Yes.
Which I think sometimes maybe you do at budget, I'm not sure,
Usually
but I
they
had
do it.
not
It is
officially.
usually done at budget time.
Yeah, and I had not officially asked that be done. So going into the salary study, and there's been a lot of confusion on that in the last 2
Absolutely,
years.
there
So
has.
trying to get it right. So I did talk with Tiffany about, the right way to do it so we can get on the right track so that.
So Tiffany, we should then anticipate anybody else out there that is wanting for this job study to have a different job title,
If they want them, yes. I
they
mean, that
would,
is
they
what-
would have to come before this council in order to do that as well?
Yeah, anytime, I mean, that's the statute that falls under the council's duties. You have to approve those changes.
But we
Right.
normally have done it at budget time.
Well, you normally do it with a pay raise. So normally title changes don't happen
Right.
until we do budget. So this is different because we're doing a salary study in anticipation. She has done her due diligence. Thankfully, she has looked at all of these and taken it very seriously per my request to review these and make sure that your employees are correct because we had those two corrections. So again, those were very different. Those were reclassifications that already went through WIS. We don't know if they'll reclassify any of these. I did not see that because like I've explained before, it has to have a new education requirement or some kind of
A
experience.
degree of something
Yeah,
different.
and we'll see, it's dependent on, how those are written. But she did a very good job of trying to put the employees in categories and what their experience is and kind of what they handle. So I appreciate the
I
work that
don't
she
think
put in.
anyone's questioning that she did a good job, or
Well-
that we just want to, I just
Yeah.
want to understand where we're going and what we have moving forward in January, because I foresee a lot, assuming,
I mean, if that's it is, then that's what it is. I mean,
Right.
that's what the council is supposed to do.
If I could just, first of all, thanks, Teresa, you're out ahead of it, is the way I see it. And if we see these every single month, I think it's consistent with what we've asked for.
Right.
Correct.
I think the only thing that, the question was, is are they gonna come with the monetary increases?
Right.
Which they're not. In Teresa's case, I don't know about the others, but in your case, all you're doing is trying to get out ahead of it on an accelerated basis, asking for the approval, as I understand it, of these job classification changes and descriptions to move forward to get to WIS for them to basically sign off on.
Yes.
Is that a fair assessment of where we are? I'm all for it.
Yeah, this has not gone to WIS yet, just the title change has to be, WIS can't
Yeah,
change
this-
the titles,
This
only
is just
council.
title change, not
Correct.
classification.
And
Yes.
the ones that were brought
Yeah.
before
Title change.
had already went through WIS, already approved it under the commissioner's contract. That is the difference. Nobody else has done that and nobody else has been authorized. The commissioners have their own contract with WIS. So they did get approval for a reclassification. We don't, this may or may not, but a title change is a council duty. So yes, if there is a change, it has to come through the council.
Correct.
It's
And we
not
have
really
a
reclassification,
But
it's
we have a
different.
council in the past have established that be done at that budget time. So not that it can't be done now for this
Yeah.
reason, but our normal practice is it's done at budget time.
Well,
if
I'd
you-
like to ask a question. I'm catching up with everybody on this. What does the state statute say? Where does this nest? Whose responsibility is it?
For the title change?
Can you furnish us with that information,
Yes,
Tiffany?
yes.
Thank you.
I think
I
she
mean-
has in the past.
Yeah, I was like, in a minute.
I have-
If you give me a second, I have it. Because it is one of those kind of weird, because, administrative, because I question that as well. I'm like, why do we have to do it just a title change? And, that's just one of the things about, under the fiscal body's duties. But, we do typically do them at budget time, but in this instance, we have a salary study that's supposed to be done in June.
Right.
So we would like all of this to be cleaned up if we need it, and that way it makes sense with what we're going for, so we can, like, these are the positions.
Well, I was gonna ask, what's the benefit of doing this now as opposed to waiting to our normal procedure? And you're saying that's actually gonna happen before
It
our
has
normal
to, yeah.
procedure?
And I will, even if, because like I said, for example, I know of positions that have had title changes since 2018, and they're not in the new job description, so this will be done to where they have to update their system.
So we should expect, in all reality, we should be
Yeah.
expecting
Yeah.
others to come before.
And we've talked a lot about HR, and that's one of the things that we're working really hard on, and legal is auditing. And the reality is, you should be updating positions every year. This should be something that the council does, because, position audits are really important for litigation, what people are responsible for, if they're neglecting duties. If we don't have that updated, it is really difficult.
I'm familiar with that, yeah.
So the reality is, it's probably gonna come up more often, but maybe it'll come up through an HR.
Thank you, Tiffany. Thank you, Teresa. So I think all of our questions have been answered unless somebody else
Yeah,
has.
well, it's in reference to this, Could you give an update of where we're at on,
Oh, yes.
with?
So we met, Commissioner Mallers and I met with Addie. We have a plan of action. She has, I don't remember if I forwarded that to you all or not, but there
You
is a
did.
timeline. Okay.
You did. I have a copy of
Things
it
are
here, the
mixing up.
timeline.
So the goal is every month I would like to be able to present you guys with an updated
Yeah.
SHIR project. Hopefully,
She
we want to
sent an
continue
email
to
with
do
an
these
attachment.
meetings. But, you know, that they've started the process in December, so Commissioner Mullers, Councilmember Mullers, if you continue to be at the meetings, we can provide updates. And it would be good to have a council member present, and that way, you know, in case you have any questions as a council member, we can bring those forward to Wagner. But they are starting just in the preliminary stages on what they need. But we have talked about expectations, county unit comparisons. So
And
we
it
all
went
feel.
out to the entire council, all of this?
Yeah, we will.
Well, you sent it, I got it, but I think you may not have forwarded that particular timeline to the council in general.
It was attached to an email that you
Yeah.
had sent to everybody.
Oh, okay.
Right.
It's an
I
attachment.
can send it again, though, with the statute.
I do have a question, though, and I was never on the employee. Teresa, this has absolutely nothing to do with your request, but we'll get to you in just a second.
That's fine. I'm all ears about this, believe me.
I was not part of any of that. I know that there's 2 or 3 up here that were, so this information is very beneficial.
Yeah.
But one question I have, Andy had made the comment numerous times when we were discussing all this in the past that no one on the council gave them any guidance on what counties
Yes.
they wanted for comparisons. So I'm hoping anybody that has any input on that.
Well,
Well, it's already been done.
Yeah.
And Addie did understand that when it was done in 2018, there were some outliers. John Dittmers and I talked to her about it, you talked to her about it, and we now have narrowed that scope of the counties they're looking at. I don't
I have a
remember.
list. I can send that out as well.
Yeah, it was like 5 below, 5 above, and then a few of the outliers like.
So it has been addressed.
Yeah, and
Okay.
the important thing that was different this year, we did, Councilman Deere and I did look extensively at what they did in 2018, and I don't know what guidance was given, but I know that I have no idea why some of these were chosen. But in addition to the counties that are population and in proximity to Johnson County, we have looked at local units such as City of Franklin, Greenwood, those are direct competitors, City of Bloomington.
You're looking at cities and not counties?
Yes, because
Because
these.
of the competition.
Yes, these are, they're talk about comparables.
Okay.
So we're talking about most positions in municipal government are very comparable, especially when you talk about law enforcement, for example. So it is impossible to not include those.
Okay. All
So,
right. Well, let's get back to Teresa. So, does anybody else have any questions, specific questions for Teresa?
I don't know, I think Teresa ought to stand up there till.
If not, we're open for a motion,
I've been
please.
here all day, so
You're like Flo.
it's fine.
you're
I
here.
don't live far away, so it's close home.
So, open for a motion.
I'll make that motion.
We have a first by Mr. Bates,
I'll second.
a second by Mr. Dittmers. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And it passes. Thank you, Teresa, for explaining.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. So, I've lost my agenda. May I? Okay, so the discussion for the revenue bonding was taken off, and last month, we talked about possibly retaining outside counsel for this council, and I had asked everybody to look into it. I did a little bit of research with several other counties, and I sent emails to everybody. In a nutshell, most counties do have legal representation for the council. Some of them have more than one. Most of them, and I believe I sent all of the data, but most of them pay a flat fee for the year, which involves a small scope of services, more or less. I'm not an attorney, So I'm going to say retainer, and I don't know if that's what it would be. I just got a grimace from Tiffany, so don't say
Just
that.
depends, I didn't see the.
I did, it was very informal.
Yeah.
Most of the counties pay $5,000 to an attorney, and if there are, and they set a scope of services. With, you look at the agenda, if there's anything that they feel that it's whatever scope we decide for that $5,000. Anything above and beyond that that we need them for would be negotiated outside that $5,000. So I did make some phone calls inquiring in some different places, different attorneys, different offices, and I tell you what, at the 5 that I called to inquire, no one is interested in it because they feel it would be a conflict of interest with the commissioners. So I personally don't want to go outside of Johnson County. So I'm not really sure, Tiffany, what we need to do moving forward if this is something that we want to pursue. Do we want to table it and readdress this again in January? Do we want to wait until there is a need and then scamper for someone? I know we set the funds aside in our budget to be able to do this. Do we put do we put a notice in the paper? I just have no idea where to go from here.
I guess without knowing who you reached out to, we would have to know.
Just local attorneys,
Yeah.
no one in
'Cause
particular.
There are some that we have thought about. The previous assistant county attorney, Zach, I don't remember his last name.
I do remember
But
that.
he is with a firm that's, I believe they're local, maybe they're in Indianapolis, but they do that type of representation, so that's possible.
Well,
Well, I would suggest that it's not something you want to wait till the last minute, because typically when you need the guidance, you need it fairly quickly. And so I would suggest that, my suggestion would be that you go forward with making a decision for someone. The comments about them being present at council meetings, all that stuff, I don't personally think that's necessary.
yeah. Well, I think they need to review, I think they need to be maybe not necessarily present, and this is stuff we all can talk about before, once we get someone, but I think they need to be online, they need to review the agenda, they need to at least keep up with what we're doing.
Yeah.
And I most of the counties that I talked to, the questions in the emails and things that were required of that person came through the president, and that way they didn't have 9 or 10 people each individually sending information, but I figure we could talk about this if we narrow it down to some interests. So Tiffany, would you help us? I would like to open it up for any local attorneys that might be interested. There was a couple of retired attorneys that suggested that keep their license up, that they might be
I
interested.
mean, you
but-
could always do a request for proposals and put a notice out. According to procurement laws, we would be able to help with that.
I was gonna say, could you help us with that? Okay, and then maybe.
Scope of work, though, don't we?
Well, yeah, you'd have to, before we could do a notice, we'd want to know like what the scope is. But I mean, I would have some attorneys that I think that like Zach just came to mind. I know he's.
Okay, well, maybe you can pick, it doesn't necessarily have to be me, but maybe pick a couple up here and do some emailing back and forth and pick our brains, and you help us decide what it is that we need, assuming it's common, or assuming we're all in agreement, this is something we want to move forward with.
I just want to say that I guess they need to be versed in municipal government. Is that just already a no-brainer to be versed in municipal government
Right.
as a prerequisite?
Yeah. So, are we all okay with Tiffany looking into it and helping us with it?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much, Tiffany. All right, is there anything else anybody wants to talk about? If not, I have something at the end I would like to say.
I'd like to make a comment. We all know life is a journey. Hopefully I can get through this. My journey began on the west side of Indianapolis. I grew up poor in a community called Stringtown. Many of you might be aware of that. Half of Stringtown is now occupied by the Indianapolis Zoo. My parents' home was the first home taken by the Indianapolis Zoo in 1988 or so. I graduated from Washington High School and graduated from IUPUI and went to work for the Marion County Health Department in 1972. One of the odd things when you're my age is you don't have 14 jobs. I've had 2 jobs in my life, one working for the Marion County Health Department for 16 years and one working for the Indianapolis Airport for 20 years. When I started at the Marion County Health Department, I worked alongside former Senator Dick Lugar, who was mayor at that point in time, and he had black hair back then too. And he said to me after a few years of working with him, he said, "Ron, you're going to be serving an elected office someday." And I said, "Oh, I don't know if I will or not." But he had a better prediction than I did. He said to me at that point in time, he said, "Ron," he said, "you have two choices when you serve as elected official. You can serve to be you can be a politician, or you can be a statesman." And I said, "Well, what's the difference?" And he said, "A politician tells people what they want to hear, but a statesman tells people what they need to hear." And that's what I've attempted to do for my 28 years in elected office. At this current point in time, I believe I'm the longest serving elected official. Ron West will surpass me with his next 4 years. But I'm proud of that and what I've been able to accomplish, what I believe to be as a statesman. There are a lot of thank yous that can take place when you do something as long as I've done it. My first is to John T. Myers, my friend of over 30 years. He gave me the knowledge of what's the difference between a city councilman and a county councilman. So Ron Bass, I suggest that you have coffee with John T. because there is a difference.
We have already done that.
There is a difference. I also want to thank all the attorneys that assisted me with the numerous questions during those 4 years. A special thanks to Amy Thompson, who put up with countless upon countless upon countless calls of me asking questions of her. The next part of my journey is, what am I going to do? Well, 4 years ago, my wife didn't know what she was getting into. The amount of time that I would be away from home, because we were just married 4 years ago, the amount of time I would be away from home, the amount of time I'd be spending talking to department heads and local elected officials and getting to know them and to try to assist in doing what is appropriate and required of us. So the next part of my journey, people say, "What's going on?" I say, "Well, we moved Thanksgiving Eve and we're in a new place and we're very happy, and she's going to have to put up with me more than she has." And this is my wife, Judy, here.
Oh, hi.
To my wife, thank you. The biggest thank you that I can give. And finally, this journey has not ended for me, I hope. As Arnold Schwarzenegger said, "I'll be back." And I don't know what position, I don't know what John T.'s plans are or what future at-large plans are. But, thank you to the citizens and all the people that, have assisted me, and I look out and see many of them, and, it's just been, it's been a pleasure, and, I'm going to be around, I'm going to do whatever I can, and I'm going to represent, still, this is a private citizen, and then, if any of you want to still have a coffee with me, feel free to give me a call. And I can offer you advice that doesn't have any impact on, well, it might have an impact on my future, but.
Thank you, Ron.
So thank you very much.
Okay. Well, Ron, as a council, we want to take a moment to recognize and to honor your dedicated service of Councilman Deere. This is his last meeting. And as you conclude your time with Johnson County Council, I want to recognize your leadership, your commitment, and your tireless efforts have left, and let you know that it has left a lasting impact on our community. Your contributions have strengthened our county, and your legacy will continue to shape our path forward. While we will miss your presence on the council, we know that your passion for our community will continue. On behalf of this council, the county staff, and the residents we serve, we offer our sincere gratitude for your service, your dedication, and your leadership. And we wish you all the best in your future endeavors, and we pray for continued success and your health and your happiness and all that lies ahead.
Thank you.
And I didn't realize you were his wife, or I would have offered my condolences. So if we are done, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
The motion to adjourn, first and a second by Mr. Dittmers. We're adjourned.